I wanted to work a couple of your homework problems, so I chose problem number 7 out of your Chapter 1 homework. Your numbers, your values, will probably be different than mine. WebAssign uses a randomization on your problems. Now, you might coincidentally have my numbers here, but more often than not, you won't. But the problems will be worked similarly, so I chose this so that you could have some idea how to work the problems. Now what I did was I put your numbers 1 through 17 into list 1 of my TI-84. And then the frequency of each of those values was listed in L2. I did a screen capture just so that you could see what the calculator would look like. The next thing I did was I hit stat plot. It's at the top of your calculator. Stat plot. It's at the top of your calculator, and then what I had to do is I chose plot 1, and then I chose the fact that I wanted my L1 to be my values and my L2 to be my frequency, and then I chose the box plot or the histogram here, and then I told my calculator to graph. Remember that frequency will be your list too. That's one of the things that would be key. And the next thing I needed to do was I hit zoom 9 so I get a good picture because it's a zoom stat. So I hit zoom 9 to get this nice picture, and then I chose this particular graph right here to be my answer. Now this is a positively skewed graph. I always, in order to help me remember this, I just say that it's positive skinny because the positive numbers are more over on this side. So if it's positive skinny, I call it positive skewed. And if it were something that looked like this, I would call this one negatively skewed. All right, I've even got the last part of this question here. I'm supposed to find what proportion of these authors published at least 5 papers in the first part. So 5 papers, at least 5, would be this 33 plus 28. That would be from this guy on. So what I did was I went ahead and added up 33. I added 33 plus 28 plus 19 plus blah 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 plus 3 plus 3, all the way up until there. And what I got was 144. And then I had to figure out how many total papers were published. So what I did was I added up how many there were, how many total papers there were. So that was the 732 plus 204. So I had to get my total. And what I came up for my total was I got 1,257. 1,257. And so I did 144 divided by 1,257. I did that division and came up with this 0.1146. It told me to round 4 decimal places, so I did. At least 10 papers would be this 7 plus 6 plus 7. I ended up for this one, when I added up the 7 plus 6 plus 7 plus 4 plus 4, whatever, I got 39 out of 1,257. And wrote down that decimal. The next one, more than 10, would not include 10, so take that 7 out for this one, and for this one I got 1,257, and on top was a 32. Did that division and ended up with this 1,255 right there. All right. The next were just a couple of questions having to do with, do you understand how classes are made? And the explanation would be there, so I'll let you look at that. The next problem I chose was problem 17 from your homework. Basically, I entered these numbers, and I didn't have to. I could have just done this by hand. It would have been fairly easy, but I just went ahead and entered it into my calculator. I keyed stat, and then edit, entered these values into L1, and then did stat, scrolled over to calc, and then did one variable statistics or one variable calculations on this, making sure, because before I had looked at my numbers in list 1 and list 2, so I made sure that my list was, or my X's were listed as L1. My frequency, I need to be sure, is blank because I don't have a frequency list on this. So if there was something in there, I would go ahead and delete that out, and then I would hit calculate. And I would come up with my X bar, which is my mean, and I wrote that in. This would be my median. So this is your median, this is your mean. And then for this sample variance, now on the sample variance, the calculator doesn't actually give me a sample variance, so what I did was I just went to sample population, sample standard deviation, which looks like this, and for mine it was, I believe it was 96.6, that's not a 634. And what I did was I just squared that value to get the variance. That way I kind of cheated it a little bit, but that is what I did. So you can square your sample standard deviation to get your variance. And I just wrote down that number there. I chose problem number 20 for your next problem. It's actually pretty easy to do with the computer. You might not think it would be, but it's pretty easy to keep track of it. For the 5.7, I go into stem 5, just plopped in a 7. 7.2, I went to the stem 7. For the leaf, I put in a 2. And then it says, in order to enter this into enhanced WebAssign, they want their numbers from smallest to largest separated by spaces. So that was easy enough. I just put my mouse wherever I wanted to and then clicked a space just to get it entered. So I got all my numbers entered in. What appears to be a representative strength value, that would be something more towards the middle, 7.8, 7.9, something in that area, or really the mean would work as well. These tend to be spread out in a pretty large range for these values. And let me move this thing. Was the data symmetric? It appears to me to be a little heavy on the front end, so that would be a positive skewness because it's skinny down here in this range. And let's go get the next question. There, I just popped that question on there. What proportion of strength observations exceed the 10 megapascals? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them out of a total of 27. So I just did a calculation of 4 divided by 27. I'll write that down just so that you can see it. What I did was 4 divided by 27 and got that value and plugged that in right there. And there's 3 examples of your homework. I will be doing examples of homework for each of the chapters. If there's any specific questions that you would like worked, please see me on Blackboard Collaborate. Or if you know in advance there's a problem you would like worked, I can make a video and post it in Blackboard for you.